Nation and Bucs fans. Welcome to another episode of the Loose Cannons, a special episode. You guys know me, Sammer, hanging out with Stanker and Poppy Latte, but we're joined today by a very special guest. A man who started at cornerback for Temple the moment he set foot on campus, recording 7 interceptions over 4 amazing seasons, right? Goes into the NFL, plays for 8 seasons, mostly for the Washington Redskins, which included being the starting free safety in a Super Bowl 22 blowout win. All right, yep. Blowout wins in Super Bowl synonymous with this individual. Years later, this man turned around not only the defensive culture of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but also a few careers of some players that were on said defense. He led them as defensive coordinator to another blowout Super Bowl victory in a game where his defense held Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey to 3 freaking field goals.
Tyreek Hill.
3. Yep. Tyreek Hill. I mean, the Chiefs. All you had to do is say it's Kansas City Chiefs, all right? This man was told all offseason that his team was going to be 0-4 heading into the bye week.
Yeah.
They told him that his team was going to be competing for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. They told this man that his team was going to be at the bottom of the league. They told this man that he was not even going to sniff the NFC South Championship crown or get anywhere near it. And yet, here we are, bye week, 3-1. I bring in our special guest, the man, Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl champion, by the way, head coach of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Todd Bowles. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Wow, how you doing, guys? I'll tell you what, if Michael Buffer ever retires, you got a job.
It's like the 3rd time someone's told me that. I love it.
Now we know what Sammer had written on that paper.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You know it. Yeah. That's right. Hey, got to come prepared. That's the only prep work I do is my intros. Coach Todd Bowles, listen, man, I kind of touched a little bit on that in the intro. Your team was not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be talking 3-1. We're not supposed to be talking NFC South first place. We're not supposed to be talking anything but Caleb Williams, you on the hot seat. This team doesn't know what they're doing. They can't win without Tom Brady.
Yep.
Deep breath here. How does it feel after all of that offseason to be where you're at right now as the head coach, as a team, as an organization, 3-1, heading into the bye week? How does it feel, Coach?
Honestly, we expected to be here. We went in the offseason, and we still had some good football players on this team. We knew we had a lot of young guys. It was a matter of them gelling with the other guys and becoming a team. You know, the culture and the chemistry would be different, obviously, because of the new faces. But we had a lot of guys that won a lot of ball games here, and they're very prideful guys, very smart coaching staff. Taught these guys a lot. These guys learned a lot. They came together, and we knew if we played football together, we could win ball games. And I thought we started out that way, and we got to continue. It's only a quarter of the season. We know that. We know we have a lot of work to do, but the start for us has been good. Things to correct, obviously, but we don't let nobody set our expectations, and we're sticking to that. We understand that. You hear all the noise, but to let it seep inside the building, we never let it do that.
I love it. Sammer, you forgot one beautiful thing on the intro, by the way. I'm sorry. He's also 3-0 against the Saints.
Oh, yeah. That's
3-0.
I forgot about that. That's a big one.
Undefeated. He's never lost as a head coach. Never lost to the Saints as head coach. No, never. Just a little shout out.
Which is important here and on this show,
100%.
as you know.
I see that.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah,
Coach. Most of the time, you know, we have a relationship with players and stuff, and you know, we talk to you and stuff. The first thing you look at when the schedule comes out is, you know, when's the bye week? Primetime games. When's the bye week? When are the division games? All of us, collectively. I don't know how you felt. We're going to get your answer, but we're like, man, this early bye, I don't like it. But it seems like it might be maybe a little blessing because we're a little banged up. You know, we're a little wounded. So how do you feel about the bye week now? Was it at the perfect time? You get some guys healthy, get some guys back. Maybe we can get Kancey back, et cetera. How do you feel about the bye week now?
When I looked at it, I thought the same thing you did. I said, man, this is way early. It's going to be way too early. But considering where we were injury-wise, I thought it came at a good time. I thought the guys peaked at the right time for us to get a bye week. Now, I may be screaming this another month later as the season goes on, but we kind of like the bye week right now to heal up some guys and get ready for the stretch run.
That's cool.
Game that's going to get us a little mini bye somewhere in there in a couple weeks, so we'll use that as well.
We're also going to get a bye week, because we're going to, our record at the end. It's okay. We're fine.
Yeah, we'll have several bye weeks at the end of the season. Coach, Latte brought up Cansey. Well, we only got a real small sample size because we're not out there at practice like you are, which he flashed right away. Are you like that kid at Christmas? Like you can't wait to open this present and play, get it out there and see what you got with the kid? Can you tell us some behind the scenes stuff about him as a player and what you think he's going to bring to this defensive line?
Well, when we first got him, we knew he was an explosive player, but then seeing it in person and seeing him do it real time, he's not just an explosive player. He knows how to play double teams. He's not just a quick guy. He's a strong guy. He's very instinctive. I think that's what's missing. Everybody sees the instinctiveness with him, and he's going to get Vita a lot of single blocks, and he's going to free up some things. So when he went down, that kind of hampered some of the things we had planned for us as a defense up front. But guys stepped in and done a great job, and we're hoping with the bye week next week he can get a full week of practice and we can start there.
Mm-hmm. Coach, you obviously are the defensive, mastermind behind this team since you've gotten here. And not only the defensive mastermind, but you've changed guys' careers on this team. Guys that people were trying to write off and basically get rid of. You turn guys' careers around. You've helped development. Obviously, you've got guys around you that have, done their part as well. But going into the season, a lot of the guys kept saying, our goal is to be the best defense in the league. And our second goal is to hold opponents to 17 or fewer points. And if we do that, we feel like we can win every single time. So far this season, your 3 wins have come out against holding the teams to either 17 points or fewer. Speak a little bit to those goals that you've set with those guys, how those guys have responded to that goal, and then being able to kind of, it's one thing to talk, but once you kind of set these goals up and these guys start to see that this is actually real and we are winning because of these goals, speak a little bit to how that feels being able to put it on pen and paper and then have it come out there, be executed, and start to kind of become a real thing for these guys.
Well, they're starting to understand what a good defense means. It means being good in the red zone, being good on third down, mainly getting turnovers. The sacks and the TFLs come after turnovers. But if we can keep the score down, we know we got to work on a few things. Obviously, third down, we got to work on. The big plays got out and we gave up some runs in Philly. But for the most part, those guys have been playing very good football. They've been playing winning football. We've become a very fast team over there. If you go sideline to sideline, those guys can run you down pretty good. And they're starting to understand what it takes to win ball games. And they're starting to – it's like seeping into the younger guys, and everybody's trying to get the ball at every time someone has it.
Yeah. Coach, you brought up turnovers. Antoine Winfield, huge turnover in this game. You got Izzian making plays. Nobody even knew who this guy was except for you coming into the season. D. Delaney's got a couple picks. Is that something that's coached, or is there some type of trait you look for when you scout guys that they're just around the ball a lot? Is it football IQ? What is it? Like how do you find these guys that constantly do the little things, when they're making tackles or when they're in the pile?
It's coached for the most part. Some of them come into the league like that. It's coached for the most part. You practice it all the time. We've done it 50 million times where we hadn't gotten the turnovers, and we've done it a lot of times where we're starting to get the turnovers now. Once you start getting them and everybody starts seeing it, it becomes addictive, and everybody wants to get the ball out, and everybody wants to get the interception, and everybody wants to get the strip. You don't want to just tackle. If you see an opportunity to get the ball, tackling the football, getting a sack tackling the football is just as good as, you can't take the guy's head off, so you might as well get the fumble. You still get credited with a sack. So we're trying to get the ball out every chance we get.
Well, it's working. It seems to be working so far, and you got young guys out there, a lot of young guys, right? Logan Hall, Yaya, JTS, these young guys that are just kind of following the old guard that was here with Sue and JPP. The expectations are high, and it seems obviously you are the one who sets those expectations. How are you feeling about those young guys so far in the first quarter of the season?
I thought Jason did a great job of bringing in the guys that can fit our system on both sides of the ball that we like. Like you said, the contribution, not just between the rookies and the first-year guys. I mean, you're talking Logan Hall, Mike Green, Yaya, Joe Tryon's still a young player. Obviously, you got Izzy in there. You got Mayweather playing special teams. You got Delaney stepping up, making plays. Heck, we had to play Pitts in the ball game. You got Cody Martin starting at guard. Cade Otton, people don't understand, it's his second year. Him and Cole Keith. Trey Palmer's making plays. You got Rashad is the second-year guy. Rashad White's the second-year guy. You know, we got a lot of young guys helping out Rakim Jarrett. We got a lot of young guys and new guys making plays for us, in addition to the new guys coming in like Baker and Filer and those type of guys coming in making plays. We've kind of revamped the team, but we haven't lost a step as far as what we want to do. And I guess when you don't know the unknown, the easy thing to do is say, this team is not very good and they're going to come in last place. But it's up to us as coaches and us as players and us as a team to come together and make sure that doesn't happen, because you don't ever want to prove nobody right. You want to prove everybody wrong every week.
Yeah, Coach, you touched a little bit. You touched a little bit on that, and it's fun to hear you say something like that, because that means I know you guys had taken it and used it as firewood. And so, going into the season, you hear guys like Carlton Davis, chip on his shoulder. You got guys like Mike Evans, who've been here, chip on the shoulder. Chris Godwin, chip on his shoulder. Guys like Jamel Dean, Devin White. The list goes on, right? And it seems like this team. Yeah, guys that have won and understood what it took to win, and they learned from Tom Brady, right? And so it seems that this team has kind of taken on this kind of group chip on a shoulder type of approach. You kind of just led with that slightly. So I'm curious how that's kind of cultivated. Have you had to push that? Has that been something that's happened because these guys have pride? And secondly, kind of leading into that a little bit, how much of that is coming from a guy like Baker, who has a chip on his shoulder? We call it his make or bake season. Back against the wall. This might be his last chance in the league. He understands the kind of the assignment around it all. How has he added to this chip on the shoulder mentality and just been a leader with all of that going on?
Well, the first thing I did was tell our guys, don't let nobody set your expectations. You know, everybody can just say you're going to be sorry, and if you believe what everybody else says, you'll never amount to anything. So the first thing, we got that out the way. We understood as a team that we had to build the chemistry. The chemistry had to be there because some guys were missing in the spring. You don't get to cultivate that. So the first thing I did was put everybody in a hotel for training camp so they can get back around each other and get used to each other and see how each other thinks. And they were eating together and they were getting the camaraderie back. So that was important for us. And then became understanding how to play the game. You know, we had a lot of young guys. We knew that, very talented. The older guys saw the talent, and they started teaching these guys with the coaches, you know, and it started coming together little by little. It takes longer for the quarterback, especially with a new offensive system. So you're going to have competition at that spot. You're going to have little increments of it as it grows from the spring to where it is now and still growing. Dave has done a great job not only teaching the players, but coaching the coaches on how he wants it done and where he wants guys at. And then Baker and Kyle have done a great job of picking up on it and then adding their own flair to it. And the offense really fits Baker. Baker he's a leader by natural trait. Obviously, he was like that at Oklahoma. It's a matter, as a quarterback, you have to find the right system for you. We found a guy with the right system. That fits us very well, and he can do the things that we need him to do. He can throw the football. We keep talking about grit and toughness and everything, but he can throw the football. Make no mistake, he's a good football player. You don't get to be the number one quarterback taken in the draft by not being a good football player. And he's having fun. The guys around it can see it. He works hard just like the next guy does. He's a guy's guy. You love playing for him. So now it becomes a confidence thing within. And we know if we just play like that without making mistakes, we'll be in any ball game.
Coach, you touched on it. Sammer touched on it as well. Can you speak on the importance of development? It's one of my favorite things to talk about on this podcast. When you came in with BA and the coaching staff and stuff, there's a lot of guys like Sammer touched on that people just wanted to throw out, you know, Whitehead and Carlton and Jamel Dean had a rough game against Seattle. I never forget that the next morning he was in your office with you at 5 o'clock in the morning breaking down film, and then he kind of turned his arc around in career and stuff. He had the pick six against Green Bay shortly after. But can you speak on development? Because fans are just fanatical, right? We're fans as well. So people want to, you know, JTS and Logan Hall, but they're starting to shine a little bit. I'm seeing some pop from JTS. I'm seeing some things from Logan Hall.
Yep.
If that was the case, like Rondé Barber wouldn't have had the Hall of Fame career he had if you just threw him out after his first year. So can you speak on development? Because fans are under the impression that people just come ready-made out of a pack. You just open up the box and there you go. You're a Pro Bowl player. It doesn't work like that.
These guys, I mean, Logan's a second-year guy. This is his second year, really, and he was a sub last year. And JTS is just coming into his own. He's a third-year guy. This going into his third year. So those guys you have to develop, because you're not going to get starting caliber players out on the street and out on the wire. That's not going to cost you $10+ million, and we know that's not feasible. So now the guys you get, you have to develop, because the injuries are going to happen. And with free agency and guys getting hurt and guys holding out and everything else and just leaving via practice squad and they're taking your guys, you better develop the guys that you have. Guys are going to get hurt. So in spring and in the summer, our coaching staff moves our guys around all the time. If you're a guard, can you play tackle? Can you play center? What's your versatility rate if you're not starting? The more you can do, like Delaney, for instance, he plays corner, he plays free safety, he plays strong safety, he plays nickel. Somebody gets hurt, he's Johnny on the spot, and he goes in. Now we got to know what he can do. I'm not putting him out there to do things Carlton can do, because he's not Carlton. He's the fifth corner. He's not the first corner. If he could do the things Carlton would do, he'd be the first corner. But the things he can do, and you try to put him in defenses to not expose him. You put the weight and you shift the blame somewhere else. No different than offense. We know what Trey Palmer can do. We know what Rakim Jarrett can do. We know what these guys, Sean Tucker, can do. Cody Mark was one of the few that stepped in, just like Tristan, and became a first-day starter. There are guys like that, but they are so far and few between. If you do not develop guys and give them a chance to play and get them the experience they need and the confidence they need, you're never going to have a good team.
Well, you just named a bunch of players, and Zion McCollum, and I'll be honest with you. I forgot. When I saw him last year, I was like, that guy doesn't belong on a professional football field. And then now he looks like a completely different player.
Zion, when you get a guy in the 5th round with those intangibles of height, weight, and speed and athleticism, he had the best 3-cone at the combine ever. And we're talking ever. We're talking Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders, Charles Woodson ever. We're talking ever. So his lateral movement and the size and speed were there, but the inexperience was the mental part of the game. And as it went on, you could see it. And he made some mistakes, no doubt about it. He was a rookie. But coming into the second year in the spring, his study habits were great. He wanted to learn everything and know everything. Coach Ross does a great job with him, meeting with him, understanding the game. His confidence is high, and right now he's showing what he can really do, and he's going to be one of the top flight corners in this league.
Coach, you said it. Sorry, real quick. Sorry, Simon. Real Bucs Talk. Shout out to Real Bucs Talk, our friends of the show. They had a clip of Zion, and I'm glad you brought it up, Stank. And you can just see it, Coach, like you said, just develop the between the ears. It was like a deep crosser. He communicated to the other corner, handed it off. It was just a beautiful rep. You can see it. Just Zion's come a long way, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of heady guys and the experience and the IQ, you've got a guy on this defense, Coach, that, we kind of knew coming into his career that he was going to be a little bit ahead of the curve because his pops played in the league, so he's been teaching him slowly. And so you could see the intangibles coming in. And now you got a guy who I could argue is maybe the MVP of this team, and Antoine Winfield. Just this past weekend, the Saints were running a Yankee, setup on offense, and this guy's calling it out. And then his guys, his teammates, they're calling it out. They're understanding what's going on in the back end, and the communication is there. The IQ is there. The ability to basically be a jack of all trades. He's a Swiss Army knife for you, and he fits your defense so damn well. Speak to how important and how impressive and just how impactful Antoine Winfield Jr. is for this team, not only on defense, but overall. Just like the confidence level that we see from that unit when he's on the field is night and day. He's just so damn impactful, and I've selected him after the first quarter of the season. He's my Buccaneers MVP, which says a lot because there's some other names that could go into that.
Salmon.
He's a joy to coach. Coach Rapone has him, obviously, and Coach Atkins and those guys, but when he's around, his thirst for knowledge is unbelievable. When he watches film and studies, he takes it to the field. Not a lot of guys can do that. It takes them a walkthrough in a few days to get it. He can get it just like that. He understands the game. He's one of the few guys that really still loves to play and loves to practice. That's important. He plays like he practices. He doesn't play half speed and practice and then turn it on in the game. He plays like that every day. He warms up barefoot. I mean, he really, the boy, he puts cleats on, and he's out there. He's stretching. He takes care of his body. He blitzes like a linebacker. He covers like a corner. He has awareness, and he tackles. He's our best open field tackler. And like you said, he does so many things for us. It goes taken for granted sometimes, but he was a football player coming in, and right now he's really playing at a high level.
Coach, you brought it up. He's a barefoot guy, and I see that there's a lot of Bucs out there walking the field barefoot. Is this something you're coaching? Because I'm a huge fan of that. I believe in barefoot life. It just makes you a better person overall, gives you more balance, more dexterity.
I was like, every single coach for away games, this man has gone barefoot in downtown.
I do.
He probably he's COVID proof. He's immune to everything. He goes barefoot.
I walked around barefoot in downtown LA, Coach.
Downtown LA. I really can't understand that right there.
No, listen, hey. Todd, I know you guys went to LA last year, or was it the year before that?
The year before.
But the year before that. But I don't know if you guys got to go downtown and whatnot. But there's a lot of poop and a lot of urine and a lot of garbage downtown LA. And this guy's walking through feces
barefoot.
Yeah. There's homeless people next to him yelling at him. They're wearing shoes. FYI. They're wearing shoes. Yeah. This guy's not.
I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of the streets, and I feel like it grounds me. That's the word right now. It grounds me. I think that's why Antoine is as good as he is.
I've never heard a man without shoes get mugged, so maybe he's on to something.
Coach, I did before we move on from Winfield. I did want to say, everybody sees the interceptions, everybody sees the sacks and the fumbles and the crazy splash plays. It's the little things, like you said, that impressed me. A play that stood out to me in a game was the Bears game. That hit he put on Komet on the sideline, on the ball, no penalty, smart. Just that. Those are the plays, man. The play in New Orleans, he knew he wasn't going to be able to intercept it. He just got on his horse and put his hands up between the defender. I mean, that's a huge momentum swing. We talked about it on the postgame show. That could have been a touchdown. Those are the type of things that don't get talked about that much, but that make a huge difference in a game. Like if Komet gets that, who knows what happens? It's just.
I agree, and he does it all the time. He does it all the time. We never try to take it for granted, but we see it all the time with this guy, and he does it all the time. It's contagious. He talks to Devontae, he talks to Devin, he talks to Vita. Those guys are all on the same page, and when they're all humming on the same page, it's hard to get some yardage on them.
People don't realize this, but Antoine Winfield Jr. is the highest graded pass rusher on this team. People don't realize. Yeah, by PFF's numbers, I don't know what that means. I don't know if you guys highlight that stuff or not, Coach. I'm not sure, but he is currently rated as the highest. He's the best pass rusher on your team. I'm not saying line him up or anything like that. I'm just saying whatever you're calling right now is working with this kid. But kind of moving back to the defensive line, you touched a little bit on Vita Vea. This guy is like right there as 1B to the MVP of the season. On the defensive line, the stuff that he does, the ability for him to basically make your job easier, not to say that it's an easy job, but to be able to make it just easier for you to scheme the other guys around, because he's forcing everyone else to have a one-on-one matchup. And you're not going to move away from him, because then he's just going to take whoever's in front of him, throw him to the side, and make the tackle on the running back. So there's no way you can ignore him. And so that's what makes it so exciting to see a guy like Kalijah Kancey get next to him, because then they have to make a decision. It's like, are you going to duo block the fast guy who's supposed to be undersized but he's going to beat us anyway, or are we going to have, you can't leave one of those guys open. So speak a little bit to what Vita Vea has done for this defense, for you as coaches, and just kind of his leadership role on the field and what he's brought to this defense, which right now is playing at a ridiculously high level.
Vita's he's a self-made player. He's really motivated to play now, because he's now the slowest defensive lineman we had. That's starting between Kancey and Logan. He was pretty quick for his size, but he was quicker than Sue. He's quicker than we have last year. He's quicker than big man. He was picking. He played for the Bears. I forgot his name.
Oh my God! With the beard. He got Sammer.
He was quicker than.
Really good D tackle from the Bears. Oh my God, I'm blanking too.
Hey, Akeem Hicks.
Quicker than Hicks. He was quicker than Hicks, but they were all strong. So now you got Kancey and Logan, and Vita's kind of bringing up the rear. So he's really trying to prove that he has quickness and pass rush ability, and he really does, actually. And he's using his hands more, and he's getting off the ball. and he's really coming into his own. He's not trying to take up blocks. He's trying to get to the quarterback, and he's making plays, and he's really doing a lot for the back seven, making it easy for him.
I've never seen a man that size move like that, Coach. I think it was his second year, his rookie year. I mean, he does it now, even as a veteran. Some guys, you get veterans, some guys get a little comfortable. He still does it now, where I see him tracking down screens or involved in tackles 15 yards downfield. It's like, you're massive. You're not supposed to move like that.
No, Latte, when he dropped into coverage last year and almost killed
Aaron Jones.
Hit Aaron Jones.
What is that?
I couldn't believe that.
Coach, you dropped him in coverage. He did that better than some of them. That was insane.
That's not fair. Hey, last week.
It's not fair.
Last week in New Orleans, he tackled Michael Thomas, 15, 20 yards down the field. All right, I saw that. I go,
Sever. Coach, what was that film breakdown like? What was that film session like? Like Vita dropping coverage and caused fumble at the goal line on a
He thinks he's the best pass dropper anyway, and he probably is. But you don't want to put him back there too much. Once every other couple of weeks is okay for me to put him back there. We like him going forward, but when he does drop, he takes a lot of pride in it, and we really try to make hustle to the ball is a big emphasis for us, getting to the ball. It's not that you mess up, it's what you do after you mess up, getting to the ball, and we got guys that get to the ball.
Can we get
hey, Coach,
this year? We get a Vita.
You see what? Huh?
We get a Vita Vea touchdown this year, Coach, maybe?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You see what Philly's doing? What if you put him under center and you on 1 yard gain? Nobody on earth could stop that, Coach.
Well, he would have to get the snap too, though.
No. That's what I'm saying. You're wrong on that, Stank. You got to put him behind. You got to put him behind Baker. Just listen. Can he go up to Baker after the snap, grab him around the hips, and just kind of like toss him over the goal line? Is that allowed?
Like a baby.
Can we just do that?
That's not allowed. That's not allowed.
It's not allowed. Okay, but you can push him. Just have him fall forward. I mean, at that point, I feel like you might risk
Baker, bro.
Yeah, you might break Baker Mayfield. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, Coach, a lot is said usually heading into different seasons, and especially back in the day, where if you have a head coach who's a defensive guy, he's going to kind of bleed his defensive mindset onto the other side of the ball, right? You want you want to run the ball. You don't want to be overly aggressive. You want to be more conservative, yada yada. And I think a lot of that is a little bit false narrative type stuff, right? A lot of media driven nonsense. So I'm going to ask you, as a defensive head coach, which you are, how much do you actually emphasize or kind of implement on the other side of the ball in terms of what Dave Canales does, who, by the way, right now, the hire of the offseason in terms of the assistant coaches for anybody in the league right now, the stuff that he brings, the way that he does things. And I kind of know your answer, but I'm just curious how much of an impact or how much of how much you push on him, or do you just let him do his thing and be the guy so he can kind of operate more freely?
In other words, Sammer, you want to, BA kind of ran it like a CEO. You do your thing. I'm just going to overlook.
No, I'm a CEO for the most part, and when we went in for the interview and got to know him, I knew everything he brought to the table, and it was exactly what I was looking for. I'm not a conservative guy, believe it or not. I love explosive plays, whether it's run or pass, and I like to take what the defense is giving me. I like them to keep them all balanced. I like for them to be an offensive version of what the defense looks like. You give them a lot of multiple looks. You give them a lot of things. You have things you hang your hat on. And he calls it. I'm not an offensive coordinator. If I was an offensive coordinator, I wouldn't have hired one. I would just call it myself. That's not what I get paid to do. I get paid from the defensive side of the ball and to be the head coach, and that's my job. Dave does an outstanding job of knowing what he wants to set up, what plays he wants to set up, and everything else. He's a first-time coordinator coming into it, and we had a lot of call-it plays in the spring. We went through a lot of situational football. We went through more probably than we've ever done since we've been here. We were calling it in shorts and T-shirt, calling it in pads, calling everything. We were calling practices, so everybody had to think, everybody had to move, everybody had to go. Coaches, substitutions, clocks, all the time, every day. And it wasn't just being told to you, so you had to get it. So Dave does a great job at understanding what the team's trying to do to him and trying to get things done he knows when he goes too far, throwing too many passes, or when he's getting too predictable and has too many runs. And they mix it up, and through 4 weeks right now, it's a pretty good mix. It's a pretty good mixture that we got going, and Mike and Chris are still getting their balls, and the run game isn't explosive, but it's consistent. It's consistent enough to do what we got to do to make plays in the pass game and win ball games. So I kind of like where we're at right now.
Hey, Coach.
Love it.
Coach, with Dave, it seems like nothing really truly affects him. Like, he's got this energy about him, this positivity about him. I'm assuming that's part of what attracted you to bringing him in. He is critical, even in the interviews. He's critical of himself, which you don't hear a lot from coaches. Rarely do they ever speak poorly on decisions they've made. And he's clear about it. He's learning on the job. He's learning as he goes. But it just seems like it's not too big for him. A lot of times you see coaches, they just look miserable. They get worn down by the process. And he's been in the league a long time, and he just has this enthusiasm that it's noticeable compared to a lot of other coaches that get behind the mic.
So the beauty about Dave is he's smart enough to know what he doesn't know, and he relies on his coaches that way. Most coaches are prideful and say, "I'm gonna do this. I got to do that. I got to do this," and not say they made a mistake. The first thing, none of us are going to be perfect, and he's going to make a mistake. But he's very positive. He's a great teacher. You understand why something went wrong, and he can correct it, and he can see it and fix most things on the fly. Any coordinator is critical amongst themselves. I don't think anybody sits back. Unless you won a Super Bowl or something, you got time to sit back and enjoy it. You don't sit back and enjoy what you did the week before. You look forward to the week ahead, what you can do better, what you can do different, how you can change things, and how you can still incorporate new things, or who didn't you incorporate last week that you incorporate this week. And Dave is like that. He's very understanding, very positive, outstanding teacher. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. And he's a heck of a guy, and he really understands it when it gets going. And I still think we haven't touched our full potential yet.
Coach, you touched on it earlier on Baker and stuff, and then his leadership and being a number one pick, et cetera. When did you know, because we had a quarterback competition here, when did you know, Dave talked about it, that it was after the first preseason or second preseason, they had a little one series drive, looked clean, got him out of there, and then the next day at practice, he hit Mike Evans on a 67-yard touchdown, and Dave was like, I got goosebumps. That's when I knew he was the guy. When did you know that Baker was the guy, and why was it the minute that he walked in the facility? I'm kidding.
Well, in the spring, obviously he was ahead because he played and Kyle didn't. They were both learning a new offense, and Kyle was struggling in the spring, no doubt about it. Kyle came back in the summer, and he worked, and he came back to camp, and he was making some plays beyond plays, and Baker was still thinking a little bit. Then one day in practice, I don't know which week it was, Baker came in and hit like 3 in a row, but it was on rhythm, it was on time, and they were kind of, one was a boot, 2 were play action down the field, and he was getting the ball out of his hands quick. And I said, I just said to myself, I didn't say anything, I said, he's arrived. I said, he's arrived. You can see it.
Hell yeah.
And he took it and he ran with it and he never looked back. And believe me, Kyle was giving him some competition because Kyle did a great job this summer. And I really love where he is as well. And Baker took it and ran with it. And he made those 3 plays, and I was standing back there because it's not the big plays that excite me. It's knowing where to go with the ball, the timing to get rid of the ball, and the accuracy with the football, making smart decisions. And those 3 plays were like right on key, and he continued it the whole practice. I was like, wow, this guy is, this guy is even beyond what I thought he would be. And you kind of saw it that way, but I don't know which day that was, but I know there was a day.
And he was doing it against your defense, so you're probably like, damn, he's doing it against me. He's good, right? So you got to give yourself a little pat on the back there while you're also giving him credit, right? I'm with you, Coach. I do the same thing.
Since it's my team, I'm either winning or losing. If I take the offensive side, I take the defense.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a win-win. Speaking
Coach,
of defense,
I gotta ask though, Coach. We've had different coaches here. Obviously, we've been fans for a long time. And you said you run it more like a CEO. Is the environment like conducive to competitiveness? And what I mean, I know that on the practice field it is, but like, I mean, in the building, like we've heard stories of Gruden walking by, John Lynch, he's like, I'm gonna throw a couple back shoulder fades at you at practice. You're not going to know what even hits you. And John Lynch is like, bro, you're the coach. What are you even talking about? We've seen those highlights. Is it like that in the building? Like, are you walking around talking crap to Mike? Like, yo, we're going to put clamps on you, bro. You're not doing nothing at practice today.
No, that's Coach Ross. Coach Ross and Coach Foote are the instigators as far as practice goes. When the ones goes against the twos, they'll call out Baker and, hey, I don't hear y'all talking over there. And then Baker will say something back, and I don't see you you better put somebody else in. He can't cover it. Then Mike will get into it, and it's all friendly fire, but it's great camaraderie. That happens on the field, out throughout the building, but it happens on the field. But they know it's all in fun.
Coach,
hey,
speaking
Coach,
of trash talk.
Coach, I was going to say, go ahead, Sammer. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of trash talk, How much is that happening between Baker and the defensive guys? Like, I see Baker we see Baker in the games. He's running his mouth. He's got that charisma. Yeah, he's telling guys to get their weight up. He's blowing his shoulder. He's being a dude's dude. Like, he's leading by example. Guys want to run through brick walls for this dude. How much of that is happening in practice? Like, I could see him and Devin White getting really close. Like, obviously not going to hit each other, but I could see that being like, I need to watch Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone talk back and forth type of scenario.
Well, in training camp, it happens a lot. During the season, it rarely happens. In training camp, and it's probably more Baker and Coach Ross than it is Baker and something like that, or KJ Britt and Levitt. It's different guys that have this back and forth thing, and then once you jump in it, and Vita on the slide gets a lot of comments in as well. It becomes a competitive thing there, and it's all great as long as they're making each other better.
Hey, Coach, can we put something to rest here? Your linebacker, 45. He's like a powder keg in the media with the fans. Like, he gets a lot of criticism. I just see, nobody's perfect out there, as you've said. Players are going to make mistakes. They're going to have good games, bad games. I see him flying around. I see him making splash plays. I see him physically imposing his will on offensive players. To me, he's always reminded me a little bit of Ray Lewis, and I know that's a huge hill to climb. But talk to us about how you feel about that guy and why he's special and what he brings to your team in the locker room and on the field.
Well, since Devin walked in the building, he's been a bell cow, one of our bell cows, especially on defense, to be the eyes and ears of us as coaches on the defensive side of the football and make the adjustments and do all that and still make plays and run to the football. If you put a microscope on any one of the guys for 4 quarters, you're going to see him, and you can point out a mistake. I think they're just making a big deal of his because he talks a lot, and his talk is always backed up, and his talk comes from a great place. He's never missed a day at practice. He doesn't take plays off. He'll run down on the scout team if you ask him to run on the scout team. He's one of our unquestioned leaders. We love him to death. I love him to death personally. He can make me right when I'm wrong by making a call. And we have great communication. There's great dialogue. And there has not been one day in that building that this guy has been a problem. Not one single solitary day. And we love him.
Clip that. Yep.
There's your answer. Yeah, I gotta ask.
Touched a little bit. Go ahead. Go ahead. Lutz, go ahead.
I gotta ask because for the fan base, right? Coach, you're a historian. You've been around the game for a long time. We've been known here in Tampa for defense, right? You are a defensive mastermind, Coach. We have a defense here. We had a defense here in 2002 that I feel is underrated and disrespected. 4 Hall of Famers on there, should be 5. I have to ask you, if you could have coached any of those Hall of Famers,
well, I like this question.
Who would you have loved to insert, not particularly into this defense, any defense, when you coached at Arizona in general, as a defensive coordinator, out of the 4 Hall of Famers, should be 5, who would you have loved to have the opportunity to coach?
That's hard.
Double nickel, 99, 20 special. Woo,
that's hard.
Coach is
Bo's the second. He's a secondary guy.
Brooks and Barber,
secondary guy.
Brooks and Barber fit everything I do. They're smart, they're tough, they're athletic, and I would be remiss as a defensive coach to not go with a defensive lineman, so it would have to be Sapp. Anytime.
Oh, there you go. That's the right answer.
Anytime you can get pressure from the interior, an interior guy, it makes everyone else's job a lot easier. And him playing at the level he played at when he was in the league, and all of them unreal. And I'm a Brooks fan, and I'm a Barber fan till I'm blue in the face. Barber would be a Swiss Army knife for me. Brooks would be everything. But I think it always starts up front on defense, and so it would have to be Sapp.
Simeon Rice is Hall of Famer. Simeon Rice is Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Simeon should be. I know you're showing can't see some Warren Sapp film, bro. I know you have to be.
No, you try to keep those guys in their moment. Now, if they're historians and want to go back and look at some things, that's a great thing. But most of the guys these days barely go back to 2018. Nevertheless, back in 2002, 2022, 2006.
They're old, Coach.
Back as far, they know the players. They can Google everything, but watch highlights. But Canty, the historian. Actually, he can do some. He can see some things.
When you drafted Antoine, did you have to pull out the old like reels and show him how you played free safety in the Super Bowl? Like, how did you?
I didn't show him. I didn't show them any tape until this year. Probably this summer was the first time they saw highlights of me. This summer, when they saw highlights of me, and I showed them in the office how to go after the football. I was saying back when I played, they don't remember me playing, so I say here's a few clips. And just they were kind of impressed.
Coach, you play with Darryl Green, right?
I did.
Did you ever race him?
No, that wasn't gonna happen.
Hey, little story people don't know about Coach Todd Bowles is that one year he made the team to the extent that they cut a veteran that he ended up replacing that same offseason. Guy goes on, go to the Super Bowl. Great story. Real quick, your team hasn't picked captains, Coach, which is kind of unheard of on most teams. Most seasons, you kind of have your captains heading into the season. Have you been waiting for the bye week to let these guys kind of fill into their roles and kind of let the leadership kind of, cream rise to the top type of deal here? When can we expect to see some C patches out there?
Want to break it up? We're cool too.
Yeah. You want to tell us now possibly who the team I mean, I could probably rail them off easily, but I'm gonna let you kind of answer that question here.
Wait, would you let Sammer name them, Coach? I think that was the actual question.
Yeah. Could I name your team captains?
Can he name the team captains?
He could name them. I probably won't agree or disagree, but he could name them.
No, I want to be the one who chooses them. Is what I don't need to choose. I'm not guessing.
That might be a good idea, but I want to let them wait so they can spend some time around each other because we had so many new guys. I don't want them to just go off a name. So now that we got some games under our belt, it'll probably be next week when we come back at some point. We'll vote for captains and then we'll go from there. At least everybody's got a good feel and seeing everything now. And after about 4 games, they can really make educated choices.
This is my last one, Coach.
Camarda gets my vote.
Camarda is a lead, man. Wow, no argument. Yeah. This is my last one, Coach. I gotta know. Every team, every year has a rally cry, has something, a slogan, something to get behind. Coach, let us peek inside the locker room, if just for a moment. And what is this? There's only one word for this victory. Yeah. What's that about? Can you please tell me what's going on there?
What's going on? What's behind the scenes on that?
That's the nicest word I can say without cussing and without.
Such a wholesome answer.
I
thought you were like a Little John fan or something.
I am a Little John fan, but it takes the place of cussing and a whole bunch of other things that could come out of my mouth. So I can sum it up with one word. Everybody can feel it. Everybody can see it. And then we go from there.
I like it.
Can we get one right now? Can we get one right now, Coach? Because I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to pad up and let's go, dude.
Ooh, that comes from excitement, but let me see where I'm at.
You're on the Loose Cannons podcast, Coach. It's exciting.
Yes.
Let's go. Yes.
Let's go.
Hey, Coach, wait, that one's for free from Sammer. That's a deal right there. You and Lil John, we can make it happen. That's a thing, man. We can collab in a locker room, something.
Yeah, I could get you. You know what I'm saying? I can get you guys together. We can collab. We can make an album. We can do it right. You know what I'm saying? We can just say back. Coach Bowles. Another one.
Hey, before we afterlife and get that one done.
Hell yeah! Listen, before we let you go, I know you got time. Before we let you go, everybody who comes on our show has to answer 2 massive questions.
Oh yeah.
And these questions, as much as I love you, Coach,
we already know these answers.
It doesn't matter. Go.
We got to ask them. Okay. As much as I love you, Coach, this decides if I can have you on or not. Right? Again. So obviously, everybody agrees that chicken wings are the greatest food, sports food in the entire history of the universe, the galaxy, all of it. Right?
All of it.
But
true.
How are you eating your chicken? Are you going, dry rub, or are you going sopping, dripping down my elbow wet when you eat your wings, Coach?
I'm dry rub.
Oh, I love you, Coach.
I'm dry. I'm dry rub or I'm barbecue.
This guy's got 3 Super Bowl rings. He knows. Listen,
be quiet, because the second question is more important than the first one, Coach. And this is
one. You got the answer. That was the right answer.
You're either a cannon or you're not. When you're having those dry rub, I can't even say it because it's dry rub wings.
Too dry.
Are you dipping them in crap or blue cheese?
Ooh, what was the first one? Crap or blue cheese?
Basic ranch or blue cheese. Are you a ranch or are you a blue cheese guy, Coach?
Both. I'm both. I go back and forth.
All right.
They used to get made so good.
70-30 blue cheese, though, right? We lean more blue cheese.
Blue cheese all the time.
See, he's versatile like his lineman. He can drop back in coverage.
But
put his hand in the dirt.
So good. I just
keeps his options open.
That's true too.
My wings.
So you're the
my wings of choice are hat tricks.
Yeah.
So you're the Swiss Army knife of dipping your wings, is what you're telling me. You're the
I think so.
Antoine Winfield of which sauce?
Yeah, you can line up at all the positions.
Antoine Winfield of chocolate chip cookies, not.
Okay. Hey, Coach, I gotta ask, how do you not have a sponsorship with the cookie thing? Like, what's going on there?
Right?
You need me to make a call? Because I got a little bit of Asian in me. All right, I can make some calls for you here, man.
I think you need to make some calls.
There you go.
Oh, hell yeah. All
right.
Coach, good luck on the rest of the season. This has been an awesome, such a fun show and a fun season so far. 3-1. Make sure those guys know that chip on the shoulder has to continue to get bigger. I know you will. I know you got the same chip on your shoulder. And you know what, man? It's really hilarious that we're supposed to be competing for the top pick and we're supposed to be, suffering through cap hell, and yet here we are, 3-1, having a grand old time. And
you know what I feel like, Sam? You know what I feel like? I feel like we should end it on this. I feel like this. It's a stolen quote, Coach, but I don't care. I don't care if I stole it. I don't care. It almost seems like, Coach, like the NFL wrote us off.
Yeah.
But we didn't write back, Coach. We didn't write back.
Nope. No, there's no pen and paper.
We got a long
pen and paper.
We got a long way to go and a lot of games to play, but we get off to the hot start and keep moving and keep our head down. We'll be okay.
Love it.
We gotta end the show with another yeah. Go Bucs, Coach. Thank you so much, man.
Go Bucs,
guys.
Yeah, it's going down, getting nasty in the trenches, man. Nah, they don't want that. Steady, Tristan Wirfs, Steve Smith, Dally Marpet, coming acting hungry, getting worked by chancing. Chef until the whistle, boy, you serve them pants.